I used to live near Fort Worth, like Dallas, Plano.
Yeah.
Plano, Allen, actually, is where I used to live.
Well, here's the circle. Here's where you were. I'm all the way down here.
Gotcha. Okay.
Where's McKinney? That McKinney, that Charlie dude lives in McKinney. That town was really nice.
It's booming. It's all booming.
Yeah, it was big money over there.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Dave, what have you been up to, man?
Hey, you know what? I'm actually sitting here with a business partner, and we've been talking strategy all day, so it's been good. It's fun.
Shit, that's what we're getting ready to do right now.
I know. That's why it's going to be even better.
Hey, shit, we got to talk. I didn't even know you had a business partner.
Yeah, we got some fun stuff going on over here.
Yeah, good for you, brother. Man, let's get started. I ain't waiting on nobody else. It's 5:00. I thought JB would be here for sure. And I know there's one guy sent me, said he's going to be like 15 minutes late because he had to do an estimate.
Yeah, I talked to JB. He said he's just too slammed right now.
I'm going to kick his ass.
He's got a lot of deadlines for Friday, I guess.
Hey, so has anybody finished the book?
Yeah. I listened to the whole thing, and then I've been through chapters 1 through 3 like 4 times.
Yeah, that's what I did. And I'm kind of doing this more for myself than for you guys or anybody. I don't know. It's like I've been in limbo for the last 10 years, not really. And I really like this book only because the principles in this book really changed my life. Like in 1995, he just rewords it and calls it a business plan, but it's really more personal development than it is business plan. Wouldn't you agree, David?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. But if so I'll let you guys kind of go first. Ryan, where did you get in it? I mean, did you go through one and 3? 1 through 3?
I did. Yeah, I'm at about chapter 5, and I wanted to go ahead and start back. I finished chapter 1 again. I wanted to kind of do what David said. He, read 1 through 3 like 3 or 4 times. I just started getting through 1 again, but I really liked, choosing your enemy. Who is your enemy? And title of the book, obviously, but man, my enemy was myself.
Yeah, I think you see me post that with Doug. I think all of us. I mean, for everybody, our number one enemy is usually going to end up being ourselves. There's things that really drive us or something, but man, I agree with that 100%. Hey, John, where did you get? Did you get through the whole book and then go back to 1 through 3, or?
I got as far as the middle of chapter 4.
Yeah.
And so I just haven't had time to go any further.
And then
I didn't make time.
What's it? I'll start with Dave, then I'll go John. I'll go Dave, John, and then Ryan. But hey, Dave, what's your takeaways from 1 through 3? Chapters 1, 2, and 3. David.
He looks frozen.
Yeah, he does.
He is frozen. I'm gonna text him. Either that or in like deep thought. If he had been like this, that would have been perfect, like the thinker. But all right, let's go with John then, and then I'll go Ryan and see if David gets back in here.
Well, the premise of the book, obviously, I just assumed it was going to be about enemies, and it's kind of the enemies that they're talking about. They're kind of placeholders. They're not necessarily real enemies, because they could be your teammates that you're still, like, because he used the sports analogy so much. I'm not a sports guy, but whoever it is, he also mentioned, because he even brought it to the fact, I highlighted this one. You may even insist that you're working for your family and team, not against anyone. But it kind of pointed out, in my opinion, that even your family could be kind of against you with your goals, with what you're trying to do. And you just have to, say F it and just do it, and just make it that you're just going to achieve. Yeah. You're just going to, it really, at first I didn't think I was going to like when I first started it. I'm like, but the more I got into it, the more sense it made.
Hey, John, did you get the book or the audio book?
I have an electronic EPUB.
Oh, okay. What the heck is that? Like an ebook?
It's just it's an ebook, digital.
Yeah, because the audio book I really like, only because there's like extra stuff in it.
Well, the problem for me listening to audio is my mind wanders and I can hear a chapter and I don't even remember that it was talking because I'm all thinking about other stuff.
Yeah, I'll do the same thing because I usually listen when I'm driving and I'll either daydream about something else and it's kind of like in the background. And then I'll get there and I'll go, what the hell did he just, and have to either start all over again. Hey, Dave, are you there? Or you froze again?
No, I'm here.
Okay, do like this every now and then. Hey, Dave, give us some takeaways from 1 through 3 chapters.
So step 1 was to identify what worked last year and what didn't work last year.
Yeah.
Right. So, identifying what did work last year was I took exceptionally good care of my coaching clients last year. I did a really good job with them. Right. I served at a high level. I gave a ton of value. I went above and beyond what they were paying me to do. So I think that turned out well in that I was introduced to one of my current business partners, right? Which now I'm sitting here in an office, which really is, I think, going to allow us to serve clients at a higher level, at a higher level than just virtual, right? Bringing them into the office and those types of things. I believe also that a lot of the tools that I used last year worked exceptionally well. And I upskilled, right? Just learning more things and adding more arrows to the quiver. And then my relationships, I think, have all deepened for the most part, except for yours and mine, Brian. We haven't been connecting long enough or often enough, I should say. And then what didn't work was I traveled too much. I didn't reach out to enough clients last year, new ones. I didn't do enough outreach or enough marketing. And I believe that I also got caught up too much in distraction. So I was consuming more than I was creating. So when I start looking at what will work in 2024 is, identifying the enemy. Well, the enemy, as we talked about before, everybody I talked to, hey, who's your enemy? Who you're going up against? Everybody's like, man, it's me. The enemy is myself. It's me.
Yeah.
And I looked at that, but I also looked at, okay, what are the other reasons why I've got to be successful in what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Right. What's going to drive me and continue to drive me? Well, you know what? I can't let the ex-wife's husband outdo me. You know what? That's like, F that, right? No, hell no. So I'm going to work longer. I'm going to work harder. I'm going to do more. I'm not going to let that bastard outdo me, outside of the fact that if he listens to me, then he probably could outdo me because he's got a 15,000 person email list.
Yeah.
Right. So if you'd actually do what I tell him to do, the guy would be banking, but he just won't do it. So I think I'm done talking about that. And then also the enemy is being the man that I was designed to be to attract the exact person that I'm looking for. And when I talk about that, I mean, as far as a lifetime partner, right? A female counterpart that is equally yoked to me. And due to the fact that I know that I am still growing as a person, what am I giving up? I'm giving up distractions. I'm not dating. I'm done. I'm not looking. I'm not going to date. I'm just moving forward. When it comes to distraction, what I'm giving up is I'm going to create, not consume. I got rid of the television a long time ago, but I'm also never going to turn on talk radio again. It is a complete distraction, and all it does is piss me off.
Yeah.
Right. So rather than be pissed off, I just not worry about it. I'll listen to positive things. And then I'm working Saturdays, half days, because the first half of the day is working out, but the rest of the day I'm working Saturdays, and then I'm giving up early nights. I'm not going home at 4:59 or 5 o'clock. I have shit to do.
Yeah.
Right. So
the 4:59 club. I did like when he said that.
And then it just allows for the actual magic to take place, because when we get that fire in the belly moving forward, it comes from progress, right? It comes from forward progress and seeing that we're moving forward and getting things done and making things happen. That's where we really start to gain momentum. And you want to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get out and get started, because your body's not going to let you sleep any longer than that.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to ask you and John, what was the enemy that caused you guys to start your own business? And I kind of know, like with David, he was high up with Walmart. So that, I mean, that was pretty much the enemy there, right, Dave?
I will tell you that was initially the enemy that caused me to start my own thing, simply because my values and my boss's values no longer matched.
Yeah.
In any way, shape, or form.
Hey, let me ask you this. Hey, Dave, let me ask you this, because for you guys listening or you're on here right now and watching it even later, but me and David have known each other since 2001 or something like that, 2002 at the most. I mean, we've been hanging out, just because his last name is Adams. I mean, we're not brothers and related, but we kind of are. But we've known each other for a long time. And even when you were working with Walmart and these other companies, you were always doing or trying to do your own thing anyway. You almost had like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Yes or no?
I will tell you that when I was 100% focused on just that thing, I was moving and grooving, moving 100 miles an hour, doing amazing things. The problem was that I was constantly upskilling and constantly growing and working on myself, which caused me to start to separate myself from the corporation, from the organization, because our values no longer aligned at all.
Yeah.
So when I look at the person I was in the beginning versus the person I was in the end, I didn't fit.
Yeah.
I didn't belong there anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's that natural separation that takes place when you work on yourself, and the people around you don't.
Yeah. And, hey, John, what caused you to start your own business?
Well, we are making the assumption that I have my own business. I probably don't even belong in this room. I'm trying to grow a podcast, and it has been a slow grow. And I do have a construction background. Then I went into IT, and then a few years ago I started the podcast. It was kind of an experiment, and I am really trying to grow it now. I've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes. I've got a second project that's tying along with it. It's called Blue Collar Voices, and so this is really a passion project for me. But I'm just kind of I'm a fucking mess. I'll just tell you that right now.
We all are, John. I'll tell you that right now.
You guys are obviously something, and I am honored to that you're even allowing me in here in the room with you guys.
Yeah. So, John, what makes you want to do the whole the podcast thing? And I've been in and out. The podcast thing is really consistency. And YouTube thing is consistency. It's, if I give anybody any advice, and I guess it's consistency in all freaking things. I don't even know why you say that. Like Dave going to freaking CrossFit every day. It's the consistency. It's like, but for me, I've never been able to do it consistency enough because I haven't had enough in me to make me want to do it. And that's why I'm going through this freaking book so many times. Is I want to really make this year. I have to freaking do something. I can't keep laying in limbo. I got to figure something out. But what makes you want to do the podcast, John?
Because if I don't, I'm going to die inside.
Yeah, I got you.
I mean, it started out, and then there was the summer of COVID hit, kind of interrupted some things. I came back down to Texas. I was living up in Pennsylvania, but I realized in that time that I wasn't doing anything, that it did mean something.
Yeah.
And so there's been some complications going along, but I find everything I've done, I've never enjoyed working with white collar people. Blue collar people, I respect so much. They get shit on all the time by a lot of people. And without blue collar people are the people that make things work. And I know I've put in the hours, I've done the work. I've never had my own business like you guys have, but I have, put in those hours. I understand exactly what it's like to work day after day after day. And I'm trying to bring stories and bring the human side of things and showcase people that have triumphed over starting from nothing usually and becoming something.
Yeah. Man, connect with David after this. David is, because David's not a construction guy. He just looks like one. He's not a construction guy, but he plays one on podcasts. He plays one on TV. Hey, Glenn, we're going to come to you after. Hey, Glenn, I'm going to come to you after Ryan. But Ryan, what did you take away from the chapters 1, 2, and 3?
First of all, sorry I lost you guys. I had something happen with the internet, but I found that using your enemies to your benefit was huge. I've never really looked at it that way. You know, you're always in competition with others around you, and you know, like Sun Tzu said, always keep your enemies closer than your friends. Love that part. And the competition gives you incentive to develop and ways to counter. I really thought was pretty interesting. It definitely helped me with some other competition that we have, learning and you know, talking with them and trying to figure out their ways and becoming more like friends than enemies per se.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So that, and another thing that hit me pretty profoundly was, you know, the accountability. The accountability is so important in business.
Yeah,
and that's something I really want to deeply work on this year. Is, you know, I need to go to bed earlier. I want to be up at 4:30 in the morning, get rolling before everybody else. I used to do that in the military. You know, I got done more before 8 a.m. than most people do all day. And, you know,
because everything that you guys did in the military, man, when you translate that to business, I mean, there's no way you can't succeed. It's right. Just, but it is. It's freaking. It ain't easy. I don't like. You know, I was joking with my cousin on Facebook a couple of days ago. I stole from Jim Rohn, David, because you know, talking about all that personal development shit that I teach at seminars is like, and she says, "How you doing with it?" And I said, "Man, all I can say is listen to me real carefully, but don't watch me real close." We all struggle with it, but it's Ryan, what was there an enemy that caused you to start your own business? And I know, I mean, and I know your background because me and Ryan, we've been hanging out over a year now, right?
Yeah. You know, for one, it was myself. I want to say, you know, one of my biggest enemies was my father growing up, and I was pretty bad, and I was beat really bad, like bloody. I have scars today from it. And not only emotionally but physically.
Yeah.
And you know, he used to tell me all the time, he'd be like, you're just a piece of shit, you know, you'll never be anything, and just, you know, horrible stuff until a child.
Yeah.
And that was really something that stuck with me. I was like, man, I'll prove you wrong, you know. I'm gonna prove you wrong, motherfucker. And and I have since. You know, he's been on a job site. I don't have a close relationship at all, but he's been on one of my job sites, and he's like, who are all these people? You know, do all of them work for you? And I said, every single one of them work for me. And he's like, yeah, you know, so that was one that really stuck out to me as well.
Yeah. Hey, like David was on, I don't know if you heard it or if you lost the internet, but Dave was talking about, you know, he really did start looking back over all of last year. Maybe, you know, the further you look back, the further you can see forward. Right. As PBD says in the book, and David was going over a lot of the stuff that he went through last year and what he's learning and taking it into the next year. Did you do any of that? Like, I mean, I could do it for you. I mean, because we've been together for over a year, but have you done that yet? Like looked at everything that you did last year?
I started writing a list when I was stopped in my truck. I've only been doing this for a few days, like a week, you know, listening to this book. But, you know, I've been starting to take notes on what I did last year and how I'm going to improve this year. And, you know, it's kind of a long story on some of it. I talked to JB about it a little bit today, but, you know, I'm going to be making some big moves this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Big time. Hey, Glenn, we can't see you, but can you hear us?
Yeah. Yes, I can. I'm driving down the road, so.
No. I'm glad you jumped on, brother. That's a nice half a shirt you got.
Thanks.
Hey, Glenn, what did you take away from chapters 1 and 2 and 3?
You know what, you mentioned consistency and being there. Even though when it gets rough, you gotta pick up yourself by bootstraps or something. Is always have something out in front of you that keeps you going. And it's just like everybody, not everything's perfect, and it's going to be messy. Just like when you bake something in the kitchen, it's going to be messy, but the end product is going to be a good cookie or a good pie. And same with the job. And in there's what he started out with. Everybody has a story, and is it compelling? And we're a second generation company. That's where I came back to join the family company. But like with any parent-son relationship or father-son relationship, is you always got to go somewhere else. So, and learn how smart or not so smart your dad was at that time. And so that was the thing. But I ended up at a company I really enjoyed. But there was a time it was either the family company to come back. My brother had already come back, and it was kind of like, hey, it's time to either grow it or shut it down, and I'd stay. And decided to give it, since it was a family company. I came back in 2012, and we've steadily grown it from we were more residential and light commercial. Now we're more commercial and industrial type of construction company. And we've actually gotten into recycling concrete and asphalt because a lot of our projects have demolition in it. And so it's those things there, is always look for new opportunities, is what he was referring to, is maybe when you're looking at it first and, how come that guy has it? And you gotta start, not just stay there.
Man, that's damn, Glenn. That's exciting, because I don't know too much of your story and your backstory. Just from a little bit here and there on Facebook. The same thing even with John, and if JB was here. But for me, this whole book, one, like I said, is for myself. But all the principles that are in here, man, I'm telling you, since 95, a little bit before that, maybe, but it was 95 that I really started putting them into practice. And then I haven't done anything like I know I should do for the last 10 years, meaning I know how I do track everything. I keep a journal, I write things down and stuff. But when it comes to business, I haven't really done anything. I got the contractor's contractor. I don't really know what I want to do with that. I mean, I know I want to help construction guys because it's blessed me over the years. But I really see this book being more personal development than even business. And what he talks about, man, I think me and Ryan and a handful of us just went through 3 months of master your business, but most of it was really trying to kind of hone in on where you want your business to be. But I respect the hell out of this book because he's talking about the emotion and the logic, and a lot of these business planning books don't do the emotional part. And without the emotional part, you're never going to freaking take action. You can have, all of us, man, like every one of us know how to freaking lose weight. I mean, it ain't effing rocket science. You just don't have enough emotion to make your ass get up at 4:30, like Ryan just said, and do what you're supposed to do. It's like, until till the doctor says you have cancer, then you start cutting out all the processed foods and the crap that we know we shouldn't eat, all that. So now you've got enough. That's the enemy that PBD is talking about. So we have to almost make those enemies. I do a diagram, and I know, I don't think Ryan may have seen it, but I know David had seen it. But I draw a circle, then I draw a line, then I draw a pyramid, and the line is on top of the pyramid. I'll find it and email it to you guys. But it's the circle is your dream, your business, whatever it is. You can write down whatever it is that you want to achieve. The triangle is the knowledge, and no matter what it is that we want to try to achieve, there's enough knowledge there, especially now with the internet. There's just no reason not to have the knowledge, and you can almost get it for free. But that lever, which is trying to pick up, and you're using the knowledge, you're using that as your fulcrum, and the lever is the long line that picks up that dream. But and Archimedes said, give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum on which to place it, and I can move the world. Right. So that lever, the longer you can make that lever, the easier it gets. No matter, if you make it long enough, you don't even need a fulcrum to put it on. You can make something happen. And I know, like David says, is so many times, a lot of us just keep piling on the knowledge. I need to get this. I need to learn this. I need to do this. I'm literally like, to where you've got all of this knowledge and a little bitty on what it is that you're trying to achieve. It's like nothing, consistent action, nothing is ever going to replace that. Even if it's bad knowledge, just get up in the morning and do something, even if it's wrong. As long as you're tracking it, you're going to stop doing the wrong shit and just keep moving forward. In the book, he talked about, the hell did he say, 6 steps forward, or he said 1 step forward, 3 steps back. And JB will tell you, because I say it a million times, it's always, for me, it's always 6 steps forward and 4 steps back. But it's that lever is your why. You've got to have that emotion. You've got to have that why. And the longer you make that lever, the bigger that why is. It's going to get you up in the morning. It's going to get you staying up late. It's going to get you to reading the books and putting down all of this stuff. Like, I really like in chapter 3 when he talks about, what are you willing to give up? Because you're not replacing any of that. You've got to give up something to get something else. You're already full. Like Bruce Lee will tell you, you got to pour it out so you can fill it back in. But you've got to give up something, whether it's the late nights or the television or the this or that. But it all really starts with one deciding what it is that you want, and that's where I'm freaking stuck. It's like I just can't figure it out. I've been stuck for 10 fucking years.
Brian Adams, you've been taking action for 10 years.
I was trying to figure it out.
That your statement is only partially accurate.
Yeah,
because the piano of purpose doesn't just fall out of the sky and hit you on the head.
Yeah,
but you have been finding purpose in what you're doing.
Yeah,
which has moved you to the next thing in the same line. It led you to the contractor's contractor, which then led you to continue to build out your hardwood flooring businesses, right? And started that aspect of it. So to tell us that you haven't been working for a decade, that's kind of jacked up. You do.
It is. It's like I really do want to hone in more though. I got to make this year and hone in. And I keep I'm telling you guys right now, do not retire early. It will screw you up. It will screw you up. Because I don't know. I think I'm gonna freaking buy these 15 acres and go live on a farm somewhere. And I'm like, that ain't it. I really do. I mean, my retirement really is, I'm really looking for somewhere to open up another martial arts studio and stay there forever. I really want to, have an impact on more adults and children, but through martial arts and the mental martial arts, the personal development. But at the same time, man, this freaking construction thing drives me crazy because so many construction guys struggle and they don't need to. And it's been a pleasure watching like Ryan and JB and Anthony, and it's just so many of these guys in this short amount of time, like triple, quadruple their business and just outgrow themselves so freaking quick. It's like it's been fun. So I kind of want to keep doing that, but I'm telling you, it is, man. It's so much of it is emotion. Because if you don't have that emotion, if you don't have that drive, it ain't worth it. So you got to find what it is. And that's what he's talking about with the whole, I believe what he's talking about with the enemy. You always got to find that enemy. What's that going to be, that driving force? Because even once you've decided what you're going to do, whether it's like with Glenn, taking the family business and just growing it massively. And it looks like you can go in so many different directions and open up locations in different areas like Ryan and JB are doing. That's exciting. And it's like, and I'm not putting words into Ryan's mouth, but they're doing veterans painting in different cities. But if they grow this thing, man, like the enemy can be like the enemy would almost kind of be fighting like a lot of these guys get out of the service and don't know what to do now, to where Ryan and JB can take these guys and say, hey man, if you want to do this, we can help you. We can set you up in your own business, whatever they want to do, and just help these guys and pay it forward. It's
hey Brian.
Yeah.
I was on a call yesterday with a client that her father passed away, committed suicide.
Oh,
because he was suffering from depression. His whole thing was, you know what? I'm worth more dead than alive, right? Oof. So killed himself. With that has come her passion of the enemy for her is depression, right? So now her sole purpose has been to learn every possible technique she can to help people overcome depression. And in the process of doing that, we've talked about different ways that she can do that through business and creating apps and different things that can help the most people in the shortest amount of time, right? But to her, that depression is now the enemy because it killed her father.
Wow, that's crazy.
Right? So when we start looking at things that will drive us, the enemy that can drive us to get up early, to stay up late, like that poor girl, when I talked to her, she'd only slept 4 hours. Right? So she's still processing a lot of this, but at the same time, giving her that, helping her talk through what are my next action steps to making that dream become a reality, focusing on one thing. Right. So I was at a business conference in Jamaica here this past week. And that conference was all about its cost reduction and so forth. Right. But there are 250 men and women in that room. And I started asking them, hey, how are things going well? What's it looking like? 50% loved it. It's going great. They're making great money. And the other half struggling, not making a dime. And I'm like, okay, so what's your daily method of operations for the successful people? The successful ones, man, I'm cold calling. I'm reaching out. I'm doing, walk me through the line of things they're doing every day.
Yeah.
And then I talk to the ones that are struggling. Well, I've got 3 or 4 businesses going on. And so I've got all these different things that none of them are focused on anything.
Yeah.
Like everywhere, all over the board. And they're wondering why they can't get a damn thing done.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you can't serve 2 masters. You can't serve a half a dozen masters at the same time. You master one, you hire somebody to run it, and then you can move on and do the next thing.
Yeah,
right? Russell always talks about that. When your funnel's making $1 million, great. Then hire somebody to run that thing, and now you can go start your next funnel.
Yeah,
until then, you just keep tweaking the same thing until it works.
Yeah, right. Me and Ryan were talking about that last week. Is like, man, what you focus on and give attention to, that's what's going to grow.
That's it.
And until you get it to where it's growing on its own, you've got to stay focused on it. And that's why it's been like Ryan and so many of these other guys is now they are like kind of venturing off and because man, when you start succeeding, it almost becomes an addiction, right, Ryan? You're just like, oh shit, I want to do this. I want to get more of this. I want to have some of this. This is like, it becomes like a drug that you want to just keep doing. Hey, did anybody look back over the 5 years, 10 years? Did you look way back?
That's too depressing, Ryan. We extracted the lessons from the past decades ago, so there's no reason to go back there.
Yeah. What about you,
the
Ryan?
one thing Brian, the one thing I noticed over the last 5 is how much technology has changed. I mean, just look at the iPhone. We couldn't do this 5-10 years ago, have a meeting like this or convey everything. We're looking at a different app. It's called Slack. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but to communicate amongst our employees and workers versus text and email or anything like that. And you can also have a Zoom in there and everything.
Hey, Glenn, what's it called? Slack, FLA?
What is it? SLA. I think it's called Slack, SLACK. I think it is.
Right. Yeah.
And I just found out about it a week ago or so. Yeah. And I've a few people I know use it. They use it for pickleball. They can use it for a pickleball group. They can use it for a church group. They can use it for a work deal. So everybody's on the page and it saves and stuff. I haven't looked in it too much, but we were doing texting where it'd show up for crews and stuff like that, maybe potentially. And I'm like, then it kind of goes away. And this one here kind of, we're going to look into it a little more and see exactly what is all is entailed with it. But just the technology side from our standpoint that we really like. Job site cameras, that you can have now versus 5 or 10 years ago. And the prices have dropped dramatically.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, David, have you heard of Slack?
Yeah. And in fact, the office building that we're in right now, that's the way they communicate with all of the people that are in offices here. They use Slack to do all that.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. And then and Glenn, you're talking about like you said, the job site cameras and stuff is like Anthony in Boise, Idaho, Sunshine Design is like he was putting up like you said, the price of the security cameras have come down. I mean, it's like not a lot, but man, if you're doing these big projects like he's doing, but he was putting them up for his own security. But he got smart enough telling the homeowner, he's letting the homeowners be able to log in. So they're no matter where they're at, they're able to log in and see work being done. They love it. And he's like, and he throws it in at the end of the job as part of the whole freaking building plan, like the whole program, you know, and they love it. And I was like, shit, man, that is a great idea.
And even drones footage that you can do, depending on what it is, but even got them small enough that they fly through buildings and stuff now. If you're doing an interior building remodel or something like that, as an example, I saw that last night at a meeting I was at, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hey, so in chapter 2, and he's talking about if you haven't read the book, The Toyota Way, you know, that should be on the list. But he really is talking about like what do you want business wise, and I've said this forever, and he kind of says it throughout the whole book, but it's like even as you're writing a business plan, that business plan really has to be written with your personal plan. And if you have a wife or a partner, all three of you got to be in on everything. And Ryan's super blessed, like I am and was, is like, you know, his wife's kind of in on all the business dealings and doing stuff. I mean, she's right there supporting him. So I mean, and he knows it. Like, yeah. I don't know how he snagged her. She's prettier and like shit. What'd you do, Ryan? But
yeah, Ryan, what'd you do?
Yeah, making the money.
But has anybody looked at the 5-year, 10-year? He wants you to do like a 20-year plan.
I haven't yet.
So I know where I want to be as far as revenue.
5 years, 10 years, or next year, or what?
No, 10 years down the road. Yeah, I'll be a decamillionaire in 10 years, no question about it, if not further. But 1 year we'll have those projections here soon as to what that's going to look like. We haven't been through that process yet, but
Hey, and David, company wise, is it you or? So you're going to be training other coaches to work underneath your umbrella in your company.
Well, actually, it's a process. Fractional services like fractional CEOs, fractional COOs, fractional sales managers, those types of things is what we're doing, along with the coaching and communication leadership training, all that in house.
Yeah, along
with the the creative visual design for companies, we'll be doing that as well.
Yeah, man, good for you.
Nice.
It is. I mean, and I really think you should take the time to sit down. One, you really do need to plan out the whole freaking year. And what he's saying in the book is, if you look back at last year, whether you've ever written it down, because John and Glenn haven't been here, but like I don't think you should ever be without your journal and your pen. It's like you've got to track everything. It's the only way you know that you're growing and what you're doing, and like just you've got to know where you're at, where you're going, what's working, what's not working, all of that stuff. And this is a great year coming up for Ryan because he did do so much last year, like probably way more than he thought he was going to do, and just everything was kind of new and just I don't know. But this year, Ryan, I mean, you must be excited, like because you're sitting. I mean, you've got to be thinking, man, if I can just do what I did last year and increase on it, and like, man, because you've learned so much last year going into next year. I mean, I'm excited for you. So, but you really do need to plan it out, like where you want to be year to year, and that whole I don't know about 20 years. And like Dave just said, is because I've been there, man. It's like you set all the plans and you got to write it down, but they're not set in stone. You've got to be moving with it because. Right. And you set these plans and you start doing these things. You start working with these types of people, whether it's like you said, whether maybe it's homeowners or maybe it's commercial, and maybe you don't like commercial, maybe you don't like the residential, but you want to go in, or maybe it's the insurance, but you've got to stay fluent, but you don't, unless you're tracking it all and you've got like a designation to hit, you're just sitting there dead in the water. So it's plan out that year, the 3 years and the 5 years. The 20 years is kind of hard for me. The 10 years, and it's not so much now, because when you started talking 20 years, I was joking with Ryan going, shit, man, I don't know if I had 20 years left in me. But I know, it's like right now, helping my daughter set up this company is I get to kind of look at that going, man, where's it going to be for her in 20 years? And I can't do that. I'm like sitting down with her next week to say, hey, and doing this like 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Where do you want it to be? What do you want to do? And grow, and just because it can go in any direction. We're hardwood flooring, hardwood, surfaces, but you can do the tile, you can do the carpet, you can do just so much. It just depends on what you want. You've got to really narrow it down into what you want, money wise, time wise, and that's what we did over these last 3 months. How long ago? What did we finish, Ryan? 2 months ago?
A few months ago, I think.
Yeah,
3 months ago. Yeah, that was one of our first lessons was figuring out the money.
Yeah, you got to figure out the money. Like, and how much money do you need? How much money do you want? What is like all of it? And I don't think PBD doesn't talk like that in the book, because he's talking. It's like I'm trying to take what he's talking about in the book, like I all have, like, because there's not a lot of construction books, especially for small construction guys. Whether it's you and you got like I think at the most we had like maybe 18 guys working with us, but they're all like all these business books are for like 200, 300, 200, 300 employees and just this, and it could be that if you want it. For me, I had to learn how to juggle spending time away from the family versus with the family. And that's always been my thing, was spending time with the family, but you need money to be with the freaking family. Those people who say money's not everything never had it. So trust me, it's money is something. But so for me, my big enemy was poverty. Was like, I grew up on welfare for the first 18 years of my life, and construction kind of took me away from that. It was good money, but it that's all it was for me, was a job and was money just to go to the next, bar or whatever. But once you had the family, then it's when things changed to where I was like, oh, that's when I got into like, okay, I need to learn business. I need to do this. I wanted more for my family. I wanted to set them up and do all of that stuff. So that enemy for me was making sure they never had to live like I lived, ever. One, they were never going to have an alcoholic parent like I had. My dad was never around, but my mom was an abusive alcoholic. So that was never going to happen. And that part was easy. That just non-void. It just was never going to happen. So, but it was the money. I needed to learn how to make more money in less time. And then you make the money, but then you find yourself being away from the family for freaking 80 to 90 hours a week, to where you go, wait a minute, I'm making all these sacrifices for my loved ones, but it's my loved ones that are being sacrificed. So now you're like, okay, wait a minute. There's got to be something different. And I'll tell the story over and over again. I'm lucky enough to work for a gentleman who never left his house. I'm like, dude, when do you go to work? And he's laughing, hey, I'm working now. And that's where that whole, if you have to be there, it's not a business, it's a job. And I'm like, shit. So that changes the course of your river and your life, to where I'd never heard anything like that. All I knew was like, I had to show up, use these two hands, make a lot of money, and, go out, kill the deer, bring the deer back, feed the family type of deal. To where now this guy's talking about, wait a minute, I can send out 10, 15, 20 people to kill the animals and bring it all back, work the fields, all that stuff. And I just kind of have to oversee them and all that. So it was a whole different mindset change for me. So it's always going to be changing, but you've got to start with that vision. But it really, I'm telling you, with the vision, and that's why I ended up liking the book so much, was you can have the best vision, you can have everything, you can have it all written down, you can know all the systems, all of that stuff. But if you don't have the emotion behind it to follow through with the systems, it'll never work. You've got to have the emotion. And Dave, for you, what gives you that emotion? Because man, you're always going. And your kids are grown. You're single, so it ain't the family. I don't think. I don't know. What is it?
You know what? We reach a point where we just want to make an impact, right? So when you start talking about, hey, you retired a decade ago and you haven't done shit for the last 10 years, that's not true. What you've been doing is trying to figure out exactly how you can make the biggest, baddest impact on the most people, and you just haven't found quite what lights you up the way you want it to.
Yeah.
And it's probably because you want to help people in construction in the biggest way, but that's not what makes your heart pound. What makes your heart pound is kicking the shit out of people out on the mat, you know, and teaching people how to defend themselves and how to develop themselves individually. And because if you go back and you look at this video, you look at the way you lit up when you started talking about your karate studio, or not your karate studio, your martial arts studio, there is a distinct difference between the way you present and talked about that versus the way you talk about lighting up and helping construction workers.
Yeah.
Just watch yourself talk about it, right?
And totally I don't know if you guys have it, but like in 98, you know, I wrote down my personal mission statement, which has never changed. And I mean, it's just, I mean, you can wake me up at 3 a.m. and say, Brian, what's your mission statement? And it'll never change. It's to humbly touch and enhance as many lives as I can for God while I'm here, so that when I'm gone, those lives will continue to touch and enhance the lives of others. It has never changed because I didn't think I could ever accomplish anything. And when I started accomplishing some things, that became my drug, to where, you know, I was wanting to help everybody. It was like, dude, what do you want? What do you want? Like, I'd beat people up and make them come up with a dream. Come on, man. It's like, just, come on, you can do stuff. You can do something. I don't know. It's like, I don't know was never a good answer for me. So it's like, you've got to have that energy. You got to find that passion that's going to get you guys up and drive into whatever it is that you guys decide that you want.
You know, Brian, if we go back to the time you and I met, the first time I met you, you were speaking at a Toastmasters conference, right? And I've been quoting you for 15 damn years since that conference, right? What do you want, and how bad do you want it?
How bad do you want it?
Yeah, right. How bad do you want it?
That's still one of my favorite CDs.
I could probably quote your program you did with Les Brown. I could probably quote that back to you word for word. I've listened to it so many times, right?
Yeah, it's still
you're making an impact. I know you've impacted my life, right? So I know there's Ryan sitting here going, yeah, heck yeah, you've impacted his as well. So the question is what are you going to do to impact more in a shorter amount of time?
Yeah, and I think that's what it is and I think that's what it really is I got to write this stuff down. I got to try to figure out who, like, what are, you know, like the biggest, how am I going to make the biggest impact, so that when and I'm really thinking I'm starting to feel it. Like, I mean, I don't know, maybe I got another 25, 40 years left. Who knows? But that's short amount of time. It's like, I don't know. It's like, it ain't my enemy, but I'm chasing that Jim Rohn dream, bro. Man, because I still listen to Jim Rohn at least once to twice a week. Not so much Anthony like you, but Anthony is up there. But it's like, man, it's like, all we, you know, it's like the biggest value, or the biggest, I don't know, it's like all we really are is what we leave when we leave here, type of deal, I guess. It's like, it's just, I don't think we're here for ourselves. But I'm telling you, it's like it really does start with business, man. It's like, or money or something. It's like I look at all these guys, like, it's like, what's that actor dude from Friends or something? Like all these guys, all these, you know, like they die with, like, it ain't money for them. It's like, dude, there's more to life than drugs and alcohol and this other stuff. Is like, I don't know, maybe it's just me. I don't know. It's like my drug is giving back and seeing people do better than they ever thought they could. And I just don't. And I don't know. Somewhere inside of me believes that's where it. I think that's for everybody. And I don't think we ever get to that. Like these movie stars, Brian, these people who die with all this money. Yeah. You think it ain't money. It's like, shit, man. It's like, you got to have a reason to get up in the morning.
Well, if you look at the people who make the greatest impact, they also make the most amount of money. It's just a matter of good people do amazing things with it. Bad people do exceptionally horrible things with it. The question is which one are we going to be? Yeah. And if we're gonna make insane amounts of money, it just allows us to invest back in creating even greater impact.
Yeah.
Right. Through charity work, through giving, through investing back in the business to affect the lives of even more people. And that's where true impact comes from. I've got a client that she would love nothing more than to transform the homeless population, right? Solve the homeless population, homeless situation in Southern California. Problem is she doesn't make any damn money.
Yeah, right? I'm in Southern California. I wish she would do something with it.
Right. So the concept here is, if you want to make an even bigger impact, you got to make more money. You have to generate more revenue. People
don't get that, man. People think, oh man, Brian, all you do is talk about money. I'm like, dude, trust me. My relatives are still like all on welfare. It's like my brother is homeless in freaking Salt Lake City. It's maddening. It takes freaking money, and you get money by serving people. And the more people you serve, and they pay you for it, the more money you're going to have. And it's a vicious cycle.
And remember, Brian, people who pay attention. People who don't pay attention.
It is.
You think about how much of your value you've given away for free, and how few people have taken advantage of it.
Yes.
Right? They didn't show up. They didn't listen.
They're talking to you, Charlie.
They didn't do the thing. Right? They didn't do any of it. Why? Why didn't they do it? Because it was free.
There's no value.
If they paid you what it was worth, if they paid you 20 grand for that or 50 grand for that, they would have freaking done the work and they would have got the value out of it.
It is. It's you think you're giving people a service and you're not. You're almost really hurting them.
It's a disservice.
It's a disservice. It really is. And I do struggle with that. That's how I lost my first karate studio. It was like I wouldn't charge anybody.
Brian, I'm talking to myself here too, Brian. I'm talking to myself here too. I've coached way too much for free in the past.
Yeah, I wouldn't charge any of them. It's like if they came in with a sad story, I was like, all right, you don't have to pay. It was like I was the only one paying. It was my freaking studio. But what do you say? I can hear you, brother, but I can barely see you. You can barely see me, Charlie, or who? Or you talking about Dave? Hey, David, Charlie is down the street from you, man. You guys should have lunch sometimes. Charlie's a great guy. Yeah, because Charlie's the one that's over in what's the name of that little town I just mentioned?
McKinney.
Yeah, McKinney. That's it. I like that little town. So over the next 3 weeks, we every Wednesday, hopefully you guys show up. And we keep going. Like next week will be chapters 4, 5, and 6. I'm really going to write it down. I'm going to come up with this thing somehow, and I hope you guys do. It's let's write the business plan. Let's figure this business out for the next year, the next 3 years, the next 5 years. If you guys want to go more than that, that's good. But I really do think the 1, 3, and 5 are great goals, because I don't think you ever get to the 5. You'll get halfway. You'll get 3/4 through the one that year. By the end of that year, things will change so much that your 3-year goals are going to change. So you really never get to the 5. But I really do believe that you need to be thinking that far ahead. So I hope you guys take this book and these meetings and really talk about it. We're in the group. Go into Master Your Business. I sent everybody a link. That's a good group. It's a real small group. It's only probably 13, 14 people in there. But go back and forth, watch all those videos that are in there, go through this book a couple of times, go through chapters 4, 5, and 6 over this next week, even though it's Christmas. Set time aside for yourself. I'm telling you, it's like if you don't set the time aside to do this, it won't just show up. It's like, and again, it's like, what are you willing to give up? So you got to give up something. Give up something and set those couple of hours aside to listen, go read through the book. And John, you said, if you're listening to it, you kind of daydream. That's why when I do get to wherever I'm going, I'll read along with him. I'll listen to him read and follow along in the book. And then I'll hit stop and I'll highlight and I'll underline and I'll write down some notes. And it is, and especially for like me and David, I know is I've read or listened to this book with a different title probably over 100 times, right, Dave? It's just a little bit different, a little bit of something different. But I really love PBD's stories. And I don't know what you guys' politics are. I don't know anything about you. I know Brian a little bit, but if you don't listen to the only thing I didn't like about this book and listening to the audio so many times is I've kind of fallen back. I don't usually miss any of the PBD podcast. Just his take on the world views and stuff is, and his mission to where like he sold everything now to where he's trying to build that valuetainment, and really it's guys like Patrick and all these like that may end up saving the country. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But he's really helped open the eyes of a lot of people because the United States just got crazy. I don't know. It's just with the Miss America pageant being won by guys and dudes winning female competitions and all of it. And
it's a man's world, Brian. It's a man's world. I don't know what to tell you.
It's like, I don't know. I used to say women run it, but now it's a guy acting like a woman that runs it. I don't know. I'm lost. I'm lost. Hey,
I do have one comment, Brian.
What's that?
Tom Bilyeu, he's like, when you go through and write out your 10-year plan, I want you to ask yourself one question when you're done. And that is this: how can I accomplish that 10-year goal in 1 year?
Yeah.
Or once you've written your 1-year goal, how can I accomplish that 1 year objective in 6 months?
Yeah.
Right. How can I cut it in half? Or how can it's just a matter of thinking a little bit differently, thinking a little bit bigger. I listened to one lady. She's like, look, my goal for the year was to make $1 billion. So she's like, okay, well, what's the easiest way and the fastest way for me to make $1 billion this year? She's like, buy a $10 billion company that is generating $1 billion in revenue. Right? Simplest way to do it. So it's just thinking a little bit differently and then executing, right? Just getting into action. So I love to talk about getting into action a lot, but I probably need to get into action a little more often than just talking about it, for sure.
Man, it's like nothing like, you remember that? I used to have that stupid ass poster. It was me like this. It was like, your life successes depend on your actions and your actions only you. Hey, Glenn, what's your plans for the company, Glenn? Have you started thinking that far ahead? And how much say-so do you get to have versus like you trying to write a business plan or set big goals for the company if you have your brother and your dad there?
My dad's gone.
Is everybody on the same page?
Oh, when I came back, my dad left. That was part of the agreement when I came back. He retired. And he has since passed away. But my brother and I, we come more from the commercial and industrial side or civil side. So we're slowly growing, but as one of my former mentors said is profit thrills, volume kills. And so, we try to look at everything with the profit. There's sometimes we don't make profit, but we get one heck of an experience and we learn from that. And the next time around, we're ready for it. It doesn't happen too often, but it does happen every once in a while. And nothing comes out perfectly. So that thing is what does 5, 10, 15, or 20 years look down the road? I never have the word retirement. I guess in my vocabulary, I want to be doing something and out physically and also in the office or somewhere, something like that. So the 20 years hard to look at what you want to do, but the 1, 3, and 5, that's some gnashing of some teeth right there of what we want to look like in that and how our area grows.
Yeah. Because and for me, I mean, and just my philosophy on business, for me, it was always you need to replace yourself as quickly as possible. If you have to be, it's like whether you and that's the key to the whole phrase of if you have to be there, it's not a business, it's a job. It's like if you want to be there, that's totally different. But at any time, you should be able to say, hey, I'm going to take a couple of weeks off, go here, go there, and then do something different. Like right now, I'm just texting some guys in South Carolina. I have a couple of condos there, and one of them needs a hot water heater, and the management company told my wife it's going to be, it's like, you need a new water heater. It's going to be $2,000. I was like, what the fuck? I said, no. I said, I can fly back there, rent a truck at Home Depot, and spend 3 days with my friends in golf, and still it would be less than $2,000 to put a water heater in.
In Washington State, that's a good deal. I'll just tell you that right now.
Yeah.
The water heaters that they have certain requirements on stuff now, and we can't have gas anymore. And so it's all electric. And what you can find in the sizes there, in certain ones, by the time you get the permit process and you go through, unless you're the homeowner, it's ridiculous.
That is crazy. It's like, and I don't know, it's like shit, electric and gas. Like, at least we can still have gas. I don't know what's going to happen.
Hey, Brian.
Yep.
One last thing on the goals as we're writing them out. Just remember, we've got the having goals, the things we want. We have the doing goals, the things that we're going to do, but we also have the being. Who are we becoming in the process, right? Who is it that I'm going to become in the process? Who do I have to become in the process to make sure that these 10-year goals actually happen? So when we look at that, we're looking at a curriculum. What am I going to study? What am I going to study this quarter? Quarter one? What is it that I'm going to learn that's going to upskill me enough that I can generate that additional revenue that I need to do the things that I want to do, right? Yeah. So it's being goals as well.
It's like Jim Rohn said is I want everyone to earn $1 million, not for the money, but because of the person that you become while you earn that $1 million. And he means it. He means it. But and that's for me, Dave. Like if you look at my Facebook post, everybody kind of chuckled and laughed, but it said, 2024 is going to be the year I take my own advice. Is I really got to get back to. I'm not going to be fighting, but I got to get back into the CrossFit shape that I know I should be in. Man, I'm telling you, it starts with you, and the better you are physically in shape, everything else just seems to be a little bit easier, and that's going to be a big thing for me this year as I move towards all these other goals. So, so this week we got chapters 4, 5, and 6, and just really between now and these next 3 weeks, really kind of hone in that 1, 3, 5 business plan and goals. And as we go through the book and what you get out of these next 4, 5, 6 chapters, what you take away so you can share with us. And even as you're listening to it or reading through it, kind of go into the group message that we have and share with each other. Anything before we get out of here? Hey, I really appreciate you guys being here too, man. It's like, you're giving up something right now just to be here. So there you have it.
I have one question or ask. It was about a week or two ago, and maybe you guys have seen it on Facebook or on another social media, but there was a post and I kind of looked at it and I should have saved it or copied it or whatever, but there was a deal and it was 100 years from now. No one's going to know who lived in your house. No one's going to know what business you're building. And I haven't seen it again. And I don't know if any of you guys have come across that and had a list of, in 100 years, a bunch of other things. Nobody's going to this and that and everything we're worrying about in 100 years from now is incidental, what we're doing today. And I don't know if anybody.
It should be on my Facebook page. I'll look because I think I shared it.
Okay.
Maybe
that's where I saw it.
Yeah, because one of my
okay, Brian, because I think I created it.
Yeah, one of my karate buddies had shared it, and I read it, and I was like, "Shit, that's hard to read."
Okay,
because it kind of goes back to, like I said, is like we make all these sacrifices for our loved ones, and it ends up being the loved ones that get sacrificed because shit. My family wanted the money. I mean, they don't want the money. They want me. They want the time with me and all this other stuff. But it takes money. But yeah, I think it's on there. I'll go and look, and then I'll put the link in to make it easy to find.
Okay.
Because I guess now that you say it, it's like that wouldn't be a bad one to freaking print out and read it every day to remind you.
All right.
So, all right, guys. Ryan, any last words?
No, thank you all. Appreciate it. A lot of knowledge.
All right, cool. Chapters 4, 5, and 6. Share what you get out of it throughout the week, and then we'll see you here next Wednesday. That'll be after Christmas. So you guys have a Merry Christmas.
Nice guys.
You too.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
You too.
All right, guys. Thanks.